Okay, so I know I mentioned at the end of last week's video that we were going to be talking about cussing this week, but wait, we're going to push that a week because considering that this week is actually Halloween, I wanted to do a video tailored to that. So bear with me and tune in. Roll this intro. So for those long-time subscribers, at least for like a year, you're familiar with the fact that I've covered this topic of Halloween before. But for those that aren't, that have not been subscribed, at least for like a year, probably don't know this. So I covered the history of Halloween last year around this time. And if you haven't seen that, I'm going to link the video up in the corner. And I recommend you go back and watch it and at least kind of find out what the history of it is and the reasoning behind why I would say most Christians don't celebrate Halloween, or at least they shouldn't. And they're probably at their own individual walk, and hopefully, I pray that they'll get there eventually. But go back and watch it and kind of at least shed some light on this whole idea of Halloween. But today, I want to focus specifically on a certain aspect of the whole Halloween stuff, this trick or treating, mainly this, going door to door and knocking at the door or ringing the doorbell and asking, the kids in their costumes, asking people for candy. This whole trick or treat. You ring the doorbell and people are like, who is it? Trick or treat, and you open the door and you give candy to them. They move on. So now the Bible does not specifically say, don't observe Halloween. Halloween is demonic, but the history of it, you will see, the demonic spirits and stuff like that. You'll understand that the Bible does speak against it. But this idea or notion of knocking at the door and trick or treat when somebody asks, who is it? I want to focus on that and kind of hone in on that, this knocking at the door. Now, there's a scripture I want to read to you. I'm going to put up on the screen. It's found in Revelation. Revelation chapter 3, verse 20. Jesus is talking, and this is a message to the angel of the church at Laodicea. He was talking to them basically about how they're lukewarm. They have not really made up their minds one way or another. They just kind of, they kind of hang out in the middle. And he was like, I wish you would actually pick a side and choose something. But this specific verse I want to highlight and read to you. So verse 20, it says, look, I stand at the door and knock. If you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in and we will share a meal together as friends. Now, you might not really think much of it. Okay, what is he talking about? Jesus is talking about him standing at the door. Your physical door of your house? Or the door of your heart? Well, I like to think it's more the door of your heart, but let's just sit with this for a little bit and think about this. He says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. And if you hear my voice and open the door, we will come in, I will come in and we'll share a meal together as friends. So Jesus is standing at the door, knocking. And it's never a trick. It's never a trick. It's always a treat if you have Jesus Christ standing at the door of your heart, knocking, asking to come in so that he can share a meal with you. So let's think about this, especially around this time where people are going door to door knocking, saying trick or treat, trick or treat. Jesus is standing at the door of your heart, knocking. Never saying trick, because he doesn't trick anybody. It's a treat. If you open the door, he will come in and share a meal with you as friends. That's profound, because how often do we not open the door for him? We take this attitude for Halloween, right? No trick or treat. We shut the lights off, pretend like nobody's home. But we take this same attitude to him. He's standing at the door, and we try to pretend like nobody's home. We don't open the door. So we just leave him standing out there, knocking, hoping that you'll open the door. But you don't. No trick or treat. Nope. Because you know what that entails. That if you open the door and allow him in, you'll share a meal, but it's going to go beyond that, because he's going to challenge you to change and be better, to perhaps not celebrate Halloween. So I just want us kind of pondering this idea, this notion about Jesus Christ standing at the door knocking. And I want to ask this question of you, of those watching. Will you open the door? Will you open the door? Because Jesus is knocking, and he will never force his way in. He will never force his way in. You have to invite him in. You have to invite him into your heart. You have to invite him into your life. And you have to allow him to make these changes. He will never force himself. But trust me, what he has for you is so much better than what we could possibly do on our own. We cannot fathom the life that he has planned for us, where he wants to take us. But we have to let him. We have to let him in. It's never a trick with him. So as we approach this day of Halloween, I want us not just to be mindful of the history that it holds, but also what we do. And think about perhaps maybe Jesus standing at the door of your heart, waiting to be invited in. And ask yourself, will I invite him in? Will I say, yes, Lord, come in, be Lord of my life, create in me a clean heart, and renew a right spirit within me, and allow him to touch every aspect of your life that needs changing. Let him change it. Give him complete control, and dedicate and devote your life to him. And watch what he does. Just watch what he does. So I thank you guys so much for watching this week. And this is a rather short video. I don't want to make it too incredibly long, but just think about this notion, knocking at the door. And ask yourself, and maybe even ask others, will you open the door? Will you allow him in? Will you allow him to make changes in your life? Even if you're not really sure of what those changes might be and what areas you probably need him to actually change, you might even think that some of those areas are fine, that they don't need to be changed, and you might be surprised. So with that said, thank you guys for watching this week, and Next week, we will pick up with the video that I was supposed to have this week, and I hope you will tune in for that, because we're talking about cussing next week for sure, for sure. And I say a lot of good stuff in that one, and I hope you will tune in for that one. So please um, share this with others, and consider subscribing and get the word out. Let people know. So thank you, and until then, stay safe and be blessed.